Hello everyone, this is the 5th Epical Revelation Fellowship. I'm Reverend Dr. Roger Paul, and tonight we're going to continue our study of paper 43, the Constellations, and we're starting on section 5, the Adentia Father since the Lucifer Rebellion, and that starts on page 490.6. And let's say a little prayer and we'll get started. Dear, would you say a little prayer?
Okay. Dear Heavenly Father, Mother God, we are so grateful to be gathered here tonight to study your word, revelation revealed to us so many years ago. Open our minds and keep us focused, our attention focused on studying and retaining the information that we discuss and read. It is in your name always, Jesus Christ, Michael, Nebuchadnezzar, we pray and give thanks. Amen.
Amen. Okay, section 5. Tim, would you like to start us out tonight?
The rotation of the Most High's on Adentia was suspended at the time of the Lucifer Rebellion. We now have the same rulers who were on duty at that time. We infer that no change in these rulers will be made until Lucifer and his associates are finally disposed of.
So remember, the rotation of the Most High's is every 50,000 Earth years, right? And that stopped during the Lucifer Rebellion. We've had the same rulers since that time, and that started around 250,000 years ago. That's a long time. So until Lucifer is judged and all those that followed him in the rebellion is judged, there'll be no change in the leadership of the Constellation Fathers. Millie, would you take the next one?
Yes. The present government of the Constellation, however, has been expanded to include 12 sons of the Verondidak order. These 12 are as follows.
Go ahead and take the next. Well, this is a picture of the 12 sons first. Okay, and this is the breakdown, all right, of the Most High. So y'all can look at that later. All right, go ahead and take the first one again, Millie.
The Constellation Father, the present Most High ruler of Melchizedek, is number 617,318 of the Verondidak series of Nebuchadnezzar. He saw service in many constellations before taking up his Adentia responsibilities.
Okay, so the current Most High is very experienced. That's the whole point of this. Okay, and he's head of a group of 12. The second one is
The Senior Most High Associate.
That's a tough one.
Is that it?
Let's give you another one.
Oh, thanks.
Oh, hang on. How about that one?
3. I'm the Junior Most High Associate.
Okay, so the Most High, a senior, and a junior. And in order for the Junior Most High, or to become the Senior Most High, you have to have served as a Junior and a Senior Most High. All 3 of them. Right?
So Roger, the Constellation Father is above and higher than the Senior and the Junior, correct?
No, the Senior and the Junior. Well, let's back up here. I don't want to tell you wrong. Okay, the Constellation Father is the highest. The Senior Most High is the next one down, Tim.
Correct.
And then the Junior Most High is the one underneath that. In order to become the Constellation Father, though, you have to have served as a Junior and a Senior, both terms, 50,000 years again, before you become a Constellation Father. So you have to have served 100,000 Earth years before you can become a Constellation Father, right?
Okay, thank you.
All right. 4. The Most High Advisor, the personal representative of Michael since his attainment of the status of a Master Son. Now remember, there's 12 of these that's in order right now. Normally there would be the 3, but now there's 12. One of the Most High is a advisor who is the representative of Michael all the time there. And the next one is the representative of who? Tim.
5. The Most High Executive, the personal representative of Gabriel, stationed on Edentia ever since the Lucifer rebellion.
So there's a representative of Michael and there's a representative of Gabriel in this 12. Okay. Millie, would you take the next one?
What is it, number 6?
Right.
The Most High Chief of Planetary Observers, the director of the Verandadak Observers stationed on the isolated worlds of Satania.
Okay, so this is the chief of the planetary observers. What are they talking about? On every single of these isolated planets that's in quarantine has a Verandadak observer that's a Most High. Okay, and this in this 12 is the chief of all these observers on all the isolated planets. Okay, so we've had a Most High observer on this planet ever since the Lucifer rebellion. Okay?
And the isolated planets are those who went into rebellion?
That's right. That's right, Melanie. Those that went into rebellion. Okay? The next one? Here.
7. The Most High Referee. The Verandadak Sun, instructed with the duty of adjusting all difficulties consequential to rebellion within the constellation.
Entrusted with that. Not instructed.
Let's say,
Instructed with.
what did I
Yeah. Instructed with.
Entrusted, I just said that, didn't I? 7. The Most High Referee, Verandadak Sun, entrusted with the duty of adjusting all difficulties consequential to rebellion within the
And
constellation.
you notice they call him the Most High Referee. Yeah. So he is the go-between between those in rebellion and those who are not. Right?
Wow.
All right. Oops, I skipped over one. Okay, the Most High Emergency Administrator. The Verandadak Sun, charged with the task of adapting the emergency enactments of the Verandadak legislature, Nerlashadak legislature, to the rebellion isolated worlds of Satania. Now, what are they talking about here? Emergency administrator, right? This is because on a normal planet, see, we would have a constellation government here on the planet, which would consist of a planetary prince and Adam and Eve, right? Since we have neither a planetary prince or an Adam and Eve because of the Lucifer rebellion, our planetary prince is Machiavellian Melchizedek, the vicegerent planetary prince, right? And we have no Adam and Eve whatsoever. So this is a Most High Emergency Administrator that helps run this planet due to the rebellion, and because we're an isolated world. Okay. Tim, would you take the next one, please?
Number 9. The Most High Mediator, the Verandadak Sun, assigned to harmonize the special bestowal adjustments on Urantia with the routine administration of the constellation, the presence of certain archangel activities, and numerous other irregular administrations on Urantia, together with the special activities of the brilliant evening stars on Jerusalem, necessitates the functioning of the sun, of this sun.
Okay, so we have a archangel circuit stationed here, part of the circuit stationed here on our planet. We have, this is a very unusual situation, and we're still in a rebellion, right? We're a rebellion isolated planet, and yet we still have an archangel location right here on the planet. So this sun basically tries to mediate all these activities of this archangel circuit and the activities of the evening stars at the same time. So he's a mediator in that sense.
I had a question, Roger.
Yeah.
On number 8, it says that we just went over the Most High Emergency Administrator. That's
Yes.
a Verandadak, right? It's not a Melchizedek, but
That's right.
pretty much tells a Melchizedek, hey, it's time for you to get ready, or does he do it?
Yeah, Verandadak would be really the one that's the administrator in charge. Melchizedek would actually be doing the actual activity.
And what does the word administrator mean? coordinating things?
Well, he's more an overseer than anything else. Where the Melchizedeks would actually be more an action type being that would direct who needs to do what and why and that sort of thing. The administrator part of that would just kind of be overseeing everything that's going on.
Does he delegate to?
He delegates too, but he would probably delegate through the Melchizedek sons.
Okay.
Right? All right. Let's see. Millie, would you take number 10?
Number 10. The Most High Judge Advocate, the head of emergency tribunal devoted to the adjustment of the special problems of Melchizedek growing out of the confusion and consequence upon the Satanic rebellion.
Okay, so this would be a judge advocate. So he would act like a judge on any matter that would come up that there is question on what the proper procedure or the legal proper procedure for the constellation would be on these planets that are in rebellion, right? So he acts more like a judge. Okay. Diane, will you take the next one?
11. The Most High Liaison. The Verondadek son attached to the Edentian rulers, but commissioned as a special counselor with the faithful of days regarding the best course to pursue in the management of problems pertaining to rebellion and creature disloyalty.
Okay, so he kind of is another go-between, right? All right. And 12, the Most High Director. Excuse me, the President of the Emergency Council of Edentia. All personalities assigned to Melchizedek because of the Satanic upheaval constitute the Emergency Council, and their presiding officer is a Verondadek son of extraordinary experience. And almost all types of beings would be in this council. Okay, so he directs this council.
Hey, Roger.
Yeah.
Would you say that the majority of the list, 1 through 12, would be Verondadek sons, since they're considered the most highs?
Yeah, all of them are Verondadek sons, Tim. All of the 12.
Okay, thank you.
Okay? There's no Lenonondek sons at all. These are all above, these are considered most high level beings, all of them. Where the Lenonondek would be system sovereigns, right?
But they are Verondadeks with the V.
Yeah, the ones that are the most highs are Verondadeks. Right.
Okay, you were kind of breaking up just there.
Yeah. The Lenonondeks are the lower, the one just underneath, and those would be the system sovereigns, right? The local systems. Okay. And who's up next? I think Millie is. Millie, would you take the next one? Did I skip over Tim?
I don't know.
Tim, I think you're up next.
Okay. Ever since the Lucifer Rebellion, the Edentia Fathers have exercised a special care over Urantia.
Wait a minute, Tim. I think it was the one before that.
Number 12?
No, we just read 12. It's the
Yeah.
next paragraph after
It's
12.
15.
Okay, yeah, I see
This
it.
takes no account of the numerous Verondadeks.
And this takes no account of the numerous Verondadeks, envoys of Nebadon, Constellations, and others who are also resident on Edentia.
Okay, so there's many other Verondadeks sons that are on the planet also, right? That aren't involved in this.
That are here in Urantia?
No, that are on Edentia.
Edentia.
Yeah. Millie, would you take the next one?
Everything's breaking up. Does anybody else hear that problem?
Yes, I do. I can hear it too, Billy.
Okay, let me see if it's coming from my end. It doesn't seem to be coming from my end. Yeah, it is too. Let me recall everybody real quick, okay?
Okay.
She had that connection.
See if
Yeah,
this
I'm back.
works.
Can you hear me, Roger?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm waiting on Millie to answer back. There she is. You back, Millie?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Would you take the next paragraph, please?
Or something's really, really loud.
It sounds
Speaker or
like
something.
Static, yeah.
I don't know what that could be. It's not coming from mine. Mine looks like a good connection.
Everything's frozen.
Yeah, can you hear me, Billy?
I can hear Tim.
I can't hear Roger right now. I can hear you, but I can't hear Roger.
You can't hear me at all?
His hand.
You can't hear me at all?
Okay, I can hear you now, Roger.
No,
Okay.
I can hear you.
Alright.
Don't you just love Skype?
Love it. Gotta find another way to do this. Okay, let's try it again. Millie, would you take the next paragraph?
Ever since the Lucifer rebellion, the Adentia fathers have exercised a special care over Urantia and the other isolated worlds of Satania. Long ago, the prophet recognized the controlling hand of the Constellation fathers in the affair of nations. Quote, when the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people.
Alright. This is really a confusing statement, and I don't know why they use this here. But basically, what he's talking about when the sons of Adam, you know, there were some of the sons of Adam followed Adam, and some of them did not. Some of them wanted to go back after the default, and some of them stayed. So that's what it's talking about here, and how he sets the bounds of the people. I guess the Constellation Fathers made the decision to take Adam and Eve back at a specific point, and that's what set the bounds of the people, because it took away our material son and daughter. Okay, so, and that's a little confusing.
How many times has that happened before where they defaulted in different planets, does it say?
It doesn't say. Yeah. It says how many defaults have happened in Nebadon. There's been 3 in Nebadon.
With Adam and Eve's?
No, not with Adam and Eve. It just said there was 3 rebellions.
Yeah,
but I don't know about the Adamic default, to be honest. They don't seem to mention that. So.
And actually, that was related to the rebellion, the fact that Adam and Eve didn't,
Yeah.
So it was all tied into.
It's all tied in together. Yeah. Now remember, Adam and Eve did not rebel.
Right.
They just defaulted in their mission. There's a big difference between a default and a rebellion. Now, the rebellion, people that followed Lucifer and Satan and Caligassi in the rebellion have to be judged by the Ancients of Days. They have a judgment. Adam and Eve do not. Adam and Eve just defaulted, so they had to go back. They had to justify what they did and repent of why they did it wrong and all that. And they've been restored already. So
what would be the big difference, Roger, between rebellion and default?
Well, the default was a plan of God. They defaulted on the plan of God. The plan of God was for Adam and Eve to come to the planet and have about 1 million children. And it was Adam and Eve's children that were to mix with the races and improve our bloodline through the violet blood. But what happened is Adam and Eve themselves mixed with the races themselves, so that put them into default on the plan of God. So they could not be left on the planet because they defaulted on their mission. They did not do what they were supposed to.
But they did stay for like 400 or 500 years after. But
They stayed for several hundred years. Yeah. After, but they were not in rebellion. They had to. The Constellation Fathers had to make a determination whether this was an act of rebellion or if this was just a default of a mission, and they decided it was default of a mission. So they had to go through a repentance time. They were made human. They had to go through the same thing we do, go through the mansion worlds and everything, and start all over again. Okay, so they are on the same level that we are.
Well, they must have skipped through the mansion worlds to
well, they probably went through really quick.
Yeah,
to be on the Council of the 24. So we know, since they're on the Council of the 24, that they not only repented of what they did, that they learned their lesson, whatever that was. And so that's the big difference. Does that make sense, Tim?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Let's see, who's that? I think it's you? Okay.
Every quarantine or isolated world has a Verondadek sun acting as an observer. He does not participate in planetary administration except when ordered by the Constellation Father to intervene in the affairs of the nations. Actually, it is the Most High Observer who rules in the kingdoms of men. Urantia is one of the isolated worlds of Melchizedek, and a Verondadek observer has been stationed on the planet ever since the Caligastia betrayal. When Melchizedek ministered in semi-material form on Urantia, he paid respectful homage to the Most High Observer then on duty, as it is written, and Melchizedek, king of Salem, was the priest of the Most High. Melchizedek revealed the relations of this Most High Observer to Abraham when he said, "And blessed be the Most High, who has delivered your enemies into your hand."
Okay, do y'all understand the importance of this paragraph? It basically tells us that Maccabeencia Melchizedek ministered in semi-material form on Urantia. That's number one. He was not 100% a human. Did you catch that? He was semi-material.
That's what we see in Genesis when they talk about the king of Salem.
The king of Salem. That's exactly right.
In Genesis.
Yeah, in Genesis. Yeah, it is, Millie. And it was the same Melchizedek that became semi-material or seeable to us. Okay, well, seeable to the humans there. Okay? And it was the Most High Observer that gave Melchizedek the orders of what he was supposed to relate and do. You see that?
Melchizedek was the third revelation?
Yes.
Yes. 94 years on Earth.
Yeah, he was the third epical revelation. That's
From
right.
1980 BC.
That's right. That makes sense? Okay? And that he was called the King of Salem, or the Priest of the Most Highs. Now remember, Salem turned into what? Jerusalem. Okay? So the present day Jerusalem is the same location as Salem was. Okay? And the mount that Abraham was going to sacrifice Isaac on is the same exact mount that who appeared? Melchizedek. So you see why all the different religions want to lay claim to this holy mount in Jerusalem? The Muslim have it right now. Now,
Mormons also have it as the Melchizedek priesthood.
I'm sorry, Tim?
The Mormons also have the Melchizedek priesthood.
They do. They also have one too, in their beliefs. Okay? But it was this Most High Observer that relayed this information through Melchizedek to Abraham that he had been delivered from his enemies. Okay? And it was also the same Melchizedek that kept Abraham from sacrificing his son. Right?
Which was stupid to begin with. God would not ever tell you to sacrifice your son.
That's exactly right. And
he heard wrong.
He heard wrong, that's right. And so when it says in the Old Testament that God intervened and kept Abraham from sacrificing his son, it was Melchizedek that actually did the intervening in behalf of God. Right?
I can understand that.
Huh?
I can understand that.
Yeah.
If someone told me to sacrifice one of my children, I'd say, show me your identification.
Yeah. At least show me your green card, right?
That's right.
Okay. So where are we at here, dude? I'm up. Okay. The Gardens of God. The system capitals are particularly beautiful with material and mineral construction. Beautified, I'm sorry, with material and mineral constructions, while the universe headquarters is more reflective of spiritual glory, but the capitals of the constellations are the acme of Morancha activities and living embellishments. On the constellation headquarters worlds, living embellishment is more generally utilized, and it is this preponderance of life, botanic artistry that causes these worlds to be called the Gardens of God. Must be just absolutely gorgeous.
Hey Roger, what exactly are the living embellishments?
The living embellishments that they're talking about is plant and animal life. Some of it is regular material plants, and some of it is morantia plants. And some of these embellishments are midway between plant and animal. So those things.
Spornigia or Sporanga?
Pardon me?
It could be either the Spornigia or Sporanga.
No, this is outside of those too. These are actually plants or animals, or in between plants and animals, that are living things there. You know, we know what animals are because we have animals on this planet, but there's a whole group of things that are considered between plant and animal.
They're talking plants that are affectionate.
Plants that are affectionate, or animals that are plants. You know, so it's kind of interesting.
Dog plant, cat plant.
Yeah, cat plant, dog plant, whatever. All right. Would you take the next one?
There's awful stuff, awful noise in the audio.
Yeah, I don't know where that's coming from.
Did you say, Millie, one time that when Roger puts his
This is not
yes,
causing it.
they were saying that makes a noise. That makes a noise.
Is that it?
Remember, Millie told me to be sure to have you put it.
I'm only hearing every other word.
Yeah, you're kind of breaking up, guys.
Okay.
It's one of those notes.
In the last paragraph that Roger read, I didn't hear most of it.
Okay. Oh gosh.
There's a lot of static, a lot of noise.
Can you hear me right now, Roger?
Yeah, I hear you all clear as a bell.
Okay, great.
Huh?
I can't hear Diana right now. Can you hear me, Millie?
Yes, I can hear you.
We can hear you very well. I'm sorry you can't hear us.
Yeah.
Should I turn my seat or something to?
Is it my turn, Roger? I can't really
Yeah,
hear you.
go ahead, Tim. Go ahead and
Okay.
read.
About one half of the niche is devoted to the exquisite gardens of the Most Highs, and these gardens are among the most entrancing Morancha creations of the local universe. This explains why the extraordinary beautiful places on the inhabited worlds of Norlashadek are so often called the Garden of Eden. Would you like me to continue, Roger?
No, let's let Millie read the next one. Millie?
Hello.
Greg? Hello,
Yeah.
can you hear me?
I hate to do this, y'all, but let me
Every-
redial you again.
Everything's breaking up.
Let me redial you.
Everything.
Awful.
Okay, I'm back.
Try this again. Millie, can you take the next one?
Yes, I'll take the next one. Centrally located in the magnificent gardens of this worship shrine of the Most High, the psalmist must have known something about these things. For he wrote, "Who shall ascend the hill of the Most Highs? Who shall stand in this holy place? Who has clean hands and pure heart? Who has not lifted up his soul to vanity, nor sworn deceitfully? At this shrine, the Most Highs, on every 10th day of relaxation, lead all attention in the worshipful contemplation of God the Supreme."
Okay, so we know who God the Supreme is, right?
Ah,
Man, y'all, I don't know what is
We're not
causing
touching
this.
anything,
I'm not touching
Millie.
anything.
Yeah, I don't. It's some kind of.
ouch.
I have no idea where it's coming from or anything. It's like a storm or something going on.
Yeah.
Okay, now, what I want to mention about this paragraph, it says, "Who shall ascend the hill of the Most Highs? Who shall stand in this holy place?" This is exactly what Lucifer was talking about when he said he would exalt himself to the hill of the Most Highs, okay, and stand in this holy place. He wanted to take the place of the Most Highs. Yeah. And act in place of God the Supreme. So he was
Really.
had problems, right? He really did. Okay. Tim, would you take the next one? Architectural worlds? Yeah, no, wait a minute. I'm sorry. Diane's next.
The architectural worlds enjoy 10 forms of life in the material order. On Urantia there is plant and animal life, but on such a world as Edentia, there are 10 divisions of the material orders of life. Were you to view these 10 divisions of Edentia life, you would quickly classify the first 3 as vegetable and the last 3 as animal, but you would be utterly unable to comprehend the nature of the intervening 4 groups of prolific and fascinating forms of life.
And that's what we were just talking about, right? This is the in-between forms, these 4 forms of life. You know, we wouldn't know if they were plant or animal, which is kind of interesting. Can't even imagine what that would be, you know.
But we could not comprehend them.
That's right, we couldn't comprehend them in their present form.
So they're talking about their plants and animals.
Right, right. They're plants and animals, which is totally different from ours. They consider ours gross.
Ours are not gross.
So,
They
anyway.
consider ours what?
Gross. Okay.
Gross.
Yeah. Well, it's in this paragraph. Let me read it, and you'll hear it. Even the distinctively animal life is very different from that of evolutionary worlds. So different that it is quite impossible to portray to mortal minds the unique character and affectionate nature of these non-speaking creatures. There are thousands upon thousands of living creatures which your imagination could not possibly picture. The whole animal creation is of an entirely different order from the gross animal species of the evolutionary planets. They consider us gross. But all this animal life is most intelligent and exquisitely serviceable, and all the various species are surprisingly gentle and touchingly compassionate. They're companionable. I'm sorry.
Companionable.
There are no carnivorous creatures on such architectural worlds. There is nothing in all Edentia to make any living being afraid.
Wow, I want to go there.
Yeah.
I want to take Georgie and Snow.
Makes you want to go there.
Yeah. Really
I'm
nice.
ready. Let's go. Field trip.
Field trip.
Take us about years to get there, Roger.
That's
well.
right. Not something we want to go and come back, I guarantee you. Yeah. Okay. Tim, would you take the next one?
The vegetable life is also very different from that of Urantia, consisting of both material and Morantia varieties. The material growths have a characteristic green coloration, but the Morantia equivalents of vegetative life have a violet or orchid tinge, a varying hue and reflection. Such Morantia vegetation is purely energy growth. When eaten, there's no residential portion.
Residual portion.
Residual.
Yeah. So, I'm gonna enlighten y'all on something
I don't want to eat something that's looking at me with eyeballs.
real quick. It's a little gross, but you need to know it. When you get your Morantia body, you no longer.
Wait.
Roger, you're breaking up.
Break it up.
Sorry. That sounds like a storm.
I can't hear, Millie. Can you?
I can't hear Roger. I'll hear his
Can you use your
static.
microphone?
And it was just getting good.
No,
You're
let
going
me
to tell
rebound.
us something.
Okay, I'm back.
Are we back?
I can hear you.
Okay. So this is Valerie. Whoever it was, who knows? $706. Who is that?
706 would be Gainesville.
I'm not sure. It says missed FaceTime call. Okay. Let me enlighten y'all on what I was going to enlighten you about. When you get your Morantia body, okay, you will be eating Morantia food. You won't be eating material food any longer. Okay? Material food, when it breaks down, has waste. Okay? So that's why we have to use what? The bathrooms, right? Or the toilets, right? When you get your Morantia body, you eat Morantia food or Morantia vegetation. And there is no waste. Okay? So there's no, what? Bathrooms on the mansion world.
So the food would be referred to as somewhat of an energy?
It's like an energy. Whatever you eat, you use 100% of it. Okay? Whatever food it is. Doesn't matter what it is. So that's why there is no residual waste when you get your Morancha body.
Oh, that's what it meant.
That's what I was talking about.
Oh, I see. They said it very nicely.
Yeah, they said it very nicely. And I thought you all need to know that, you know. So some things in life that's not nice.
We can refer to residual. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good.
Yeah, we don't have to do anymore. Okay. Now who's I don't know. I think Tim is up again. Tim?
Being endowed with 10 divisions of physical life, not to mention the Morancha variations, these architectural worlds provide tremendous possibilities for the biologic beautification of the landscape and of the material in Morancha structures. The celestial artisans direct the native Spornagia in this extensive work of botanic, decoration, and biologic embellishment, whereas your artist must resort to inert, paint, and lifeless marble to portray their concepts. The celestial artisans and the Unification more frequently utilize living materials to represent their ideals and to capture their ideals.
So the celestial artisans, we're going to study the next paper, but they actually use material that's living to create their arc or their embellishments of the planet. So it's not like ours. When we paint or we use marble or stone or do what I'm doing in my backyard, it's very inanimate material. Where the celestial artisans use things that are actually living and moving to create their beautification. So it's kind of interesting. All right, Millie.
If you enjoy the flowers, shrubs, and trees of your rancho, then you will feast your eyes upon the botanical beauty and the floral grandeur of the supernal gardens of Edentia. But it is beyond my powers of description to undertake to convey to the mortal mind an adequate concept of these beauties of the heavenly worlds. Truly, eyes have not seen such glories as await your arrival on these worlds in the mortal ascension adventure.
Remember when Jesus said, "Eyes have not seen or ears heard the beauties of that."
I just purchased a picture at the Habitat Restore of poppies. And when I'm reading this, I'm thinking, wouldn't it be wonderful if I had poppies in a vase in the bedroom to reflect? But they would be silk flowers. I could not have real poppies all year round.
That's true.
These poppies are yellow and orange and purple and shading into lavenders and oranges, and it's just beautiful. It's a copy of something by an artist named Novak, and she did lots of poppies.
Yeah.
And this one just hit me, and I said, I gotta have that. I can't afford it, but I'm gonna have it anyway.
Yeah. Sweetie, you want to take the next one, the unification?
I can't wait to get up there and see poppies like this for real.
I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Better than this.
I
Better
saw a
than
beautiful
this.
one too on canvas.
Yeah,
over-
Dorothy saw poppies.
What?
Dorothy.
In The Wizard of Oz. Remember when she was running through the field, the poppy
Yeah.
fields?
Oh yeah.
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 Would you take the next one?
7. The Unification. Unification are the permanent citizens of Edentia and its associated worlds, all 770 worlds surrounding the Constellation headquarters being under their supervision. These children of the Creator Son and its Creative Spirit are projected on a plane of existence in between the material and the spiritual. But they are not Morancha creatures. The natives of each of the 70 major spheres of Edentia possess different visible forms, and the Morancha mortals have their Morancha forms attuned to correspond with the ascending scale of the Unificatia each time they change residence from one Edentia sphere to another, as they pass successfully from world number 1 to world number 70.
Did y'all catch that? So each one of these beings, the Unificatia, as you go through success in order to these worlds, you get retuned so you can see and understand the Unificatia. And they are not mortal and they are not spiritual beings, they're somewhere in between. But on the ascending scale is what I was trying to say. Of these worlds, you have to be tuned so that you can communicate and interact with these Unificatia. But these are the permanent citizens of these worlds. They don't leave, right? They're always there. Okay, you notice how each level there's an order of permanent citizenship?
I do right now.
Okay. Spiritually, the Unificatia are alike intellectually. They vary as do mortals. In form, they much resemble the Morancha state of existence, and they are created to function in 70 diverse orders of personality. Each of these orders of Unificatia exhibit 10 major variations of intellectual activity, and each of these varying intellectual types preside over the special training and cultural schools of progressive occupational or practical socialization on some one of the 10 satellites which string around each of the major Edentia worlds. So there's 70 major worlds, and then there's 10 worlds that surround each one of these 70, right? And that's what they're talking about. Each order of these are intellectually and socially a little bit different, right? But they're the ones that train us from world to world to world to world. Okay?
So they're different in personality.
They're different in personality on each and every world we go through. And here it says that they are created by the Universal Mother Spirit, the Creator Son, and this just shows a picture of some of the 70 worlds and the 10 worlds that surround it, and each one of these have different types of Unificatia on them.
But the Unificatia are the ones who issue us from world to world to world.
Right. Yeah.
So we need to make friends with them.
We need to make friends with them because they're there to teach us, right?
Yes.
All right. Tim, would you take the next one?
These 700 minor worlds are technical spheres of practical education in the working of the entire local universe, and are open to all classes of intelligent beings. These training schools of special skill and technical knowledge are not conducted exclusively for ascending mortals, although Morancha students constitute by far the largest group of all those who attend these courses of training. When you are received on any one of the 70 major worlds of social culture, you are immediately given clearance for each of the 10 surrounding satellites.
So, this is interesting because it mentions that we are not the only types of beings that's going through these training. Did you see that? So there's other types of beings that are doing the same thing that they don't tell us a lot about that are out there. So there's a lot of things going on in the Master Universe than just our ascension plan. You know, we assume that because of the Urantia book and we read about the ascension plan. But there's many other things going on in the background while this is going on. And this is a good example of it. You know.
Would that be with different orders of angels?
Different orders of beings, probably. I don't know about angels, but definitely different orders of beings that we're unfamiliar with, or not told about, anyway. Alright? So there's a lot of things that was left out of the book. And this is, talks about the different forms and us getting clearance on the satellite worlds as we go, and we get retuned for each one of these. Alright? Alright. Millie, would you take the next one?
Yes. Am I on?
Yeah, you're on.
Okay. In the various courtesy colonies, ascending Morancha mortals predominate among the reversion directors, but the Unificatia represent the largest group associated with the Nebadon Corps of celestial artisans. In all Avantan, no extra Havana beings, excepting the
Uversa Abundanters.
Abundanters can equal the unification in artistry. What?
Unification.
Unification in artistry skill, social adaptability, and coordinating cleverness.
Okay, so most of the beings that are helping the celestial artisan are these unification. Okay, and we're going to talk about those in the next paper. All right, sweetie?
These citizens of the constellation are not actually members of the artisan corps, but they freely work with all groups and contribute much to making the constellation worlds the chief spheres for the realization of the magnificent artistic possibilities of transition culture. They do not function beyond the confines of the constellation headquarters worlds.
All right. Okay, 8. The Adintia Training Worlds. The physical endowment of Adintia and its surrounding spheres are well nigh perfect. They could hardly equal the spiritual grandeur of the spheres of Salvington, but they far surpass the glories of the training worlds of Jerusalem. All these Adintia spheres are energized directly by the universal space currents and other enormous power systems. Both material and Morancha are expertly supervised and distributed by the Constellation Centers, assisted by a competent corps of master physical controllers and Morancha power supervisors. There's that power thing all over again, right? See how these all intertwine with each other? Okay. Tim, would you take the next one?
The time spent on the 70 training worlds of Transis and Morancha culture associated with the Adintia age of mortal ascension is the most settled period in an ascending warder's career, up to the status of a finaliter. This is really the typical Morancha life. While you are rekeyed each time you pass from one major culture world to another, you retain the same Morancha body, and there are no more periods of personality and consciousness.
So they tune you from world to world, but you don't go unconscious to do this.
I just had a question, Roger.
Yeah.
Where they talk about how the Morancha body, and there is no more periods of personality unconsciousness.
Right.
I'm kind of lost on that. So you're not changing bodies. You're completely aware. Am I going somewhere, or?
Yeah, you're completely aware while they tune you for the next world you're going to. Okay, so you don't go. It's not like you go and go to sleep and they key you or tune you up and then you wake up. You're totally conscious during all these transitions from one to another, and that's the case until what? Until you go from your Morancha to your spiritual body, and then the last sleep will be from your when you're on the last ring of Havona, when you get ready for your trip to paradise. That is a long trip, so you go unconscious during that period of time, and then you awaken on paradise. Okay.
So do you still have a body when you're going unconscious to paradise? They don't.
Yeah, but you have a spiritual body at that point. It's a different body. You'll be a stage 6 spirit at that point.
Okay, thank you.
It sounds to me like when you are retuned, I think of music, that your musical notes are when you're rekeying everything. It's a vibration, but vibration is music. It's sound. And
it's much like music, because it's just like the spectrum of light.
Right.
You're rekeyed to be able to see a different spectrum of light and sound and material forms.
Well, different sounds can take you different places that nothing else can.
Yeah.
In this lifetime.
Yeah.
Because there's certain musical notes or combination of musical notes that will absolutely take you to paradise. Beauty.
This is a picture of the 70 spheres that surround Adentia, and I'm sure they're not in a line like this. They'll be all over, you know. This is just to show you the 70.
I like this way.
But it starts with 1 and you do 70 different as you go around it, okay? Alright. Who's that? Me? Okay. Your sojourn on Adentia and its associated spheres will be chiefly occupied with the mastery of group ethics, the secret of pleasant and profitable interrelationship between the various universe and super-universe orders of intelligent personalities. We learn how to get along, right? Tim, would you take the next one? Not like I was Sunday, right? I know that's what you're thinking.
Diane's turn.
I was actually.
No, Tim, we were just joking that we learned to get along, not like I was Sunday. Anyway.
You were highly provoked.
I was highly provoked Sunday. You know, I apologize.
It was terrible.
Terrible, terribly provoked.
I have a feeling we cross those borders when we start dealing with super universes.
That's right.
He was arguing with you. He was arguing with you, Roger.
Yeah, he was trying very hard to argue with me, and he wouldn't let me get a word in edgewise, so I finally had to. Okay.
Well, lift your spirit up. Lift your spirit up, Roger.
Yeah.
We're here with you.
Yeah. Okay, Tim, would you take the next one?
On the mansion words, you completed the unification of the evolving mortal personality on the system capital. You attained Jerusalem citizenship and achieved the willingness to submit the self to the disciplines of group activities and coordinate undertakings. But now in the constellation training worlds, you are to achieve the real socialization of your evolving Morancha personality. This supernal culture acquirement consists in the learning how to 1. Live happily and work effectively with 10 diverse fellow Moranchans, while 10 such groups are associated in companies of 100 and then featured in core of 1,000.
Federated core of 1,000. So we get lots of experience to this, right? Billy, would you take the next one? 2?
Abide joyfully and cooperate heartily with 10 Univertation, who, through similar intellectually and Morancha beings, are very different in every other way. And must you function with this group of 10, as it coordinates with 10 other families, which are in turn confederated into a core of 1,000 Univertation.
We got a long way to go, don't we? All right, dear.
3. Achieves simultaneous adjustment to both fellow Moranchans and these host Univitatia. Acquire the ability voluntarily and effectively to cooperate with your own order beings in close working association with a somewhat dissimilar group of intelligent creatures.
Notice how they're constantly putting us in groups of people that are unlike ourselves so that we can learn to adjust to everything. Kind of interesting, isn't it? 4. While thus socially functioning with beings like and unlike yourself, achieve intellectual harmony with and make vocational adjustment to both groups of associates. Tim, would you take the next one?
5. While attaining satisfactory socialization of the personality on intellectual and vocational levels, further perfect the ability to live in intimate contact with similar and slightly dissimilar beings, with ever-lessening irritability, and ever-diminishing resentment. The reversion directors contribute much to this later attainment through their group play activities.
So I guess even in the Morancha form, we still have that irritability sometimes, right?
I'm experiencing it right now because I can't hear anything. Everybody's breaking up.
Again? Man, this has been one of our worst nights. Yeah, I can see it. Let me call you back. Must be that Skype update, right?
Could be, yeah.
You never know. Are y'all back?
Yes, I'm back.
Okay. All right.
Adjust all of these various socialization techniques to the furtherance of the progressive coordination of the Paradise Ascension career. Augment universe insight by enhancing the ability to grasp the eternal goal meanings concealed within these seemingly insignificant time-space activities.
All I can hope for is a little time out in between all this.
Really?
To adjust.
Yep.
Okay. 7, and then climax all of these procedures of multi-socialization with the concurrent enhancement of spiritual insight as it pertains to the augmentation of all phases of personal endowment through group spiritual association and Moranchic coordination. Intellectually, socially, and spiritually, two moral creatures do not merely double their personal potentials of universe achievement by partnership technique. They more nearly quadruple their attainment and accomplishment possibilities.
So coupling up during this period of time, you quadruple your attainment and accomplishment possibilities, right? And that's what we learned. Okay, we have portrayed Adentia socialization as an association of a Morancha mortal with a Unificatia family group consisting of 10 intellectually dissimilar individuals concomitant
Millie's got her microphone on.
Millie?
I can hear her in the kitchen.
No, try this on. Okay, let me try again. We have portrayed Adentia socialization as an association of a Morancha mortal with a Unificatia family group consisting of 10 intellectually dissimilar individuals concomitant with a similar association with 10 fellow Moranchans. But on the first 7 major worlds, only one ascending mortal lives with 10 Unificatia. On the second group of 7 major worlds, 2 mortals abide with each native group of 10, and so on and up until on the last group of 7 major spheres, 10 Morancha beings are domiciled with 10 Unificatia. As you learn how to better to socialize with the Unificatia, you will practice such improved ethics in your relations with your fellow Morancha progressors.
Well, these are the biggest issues we have here on Urantia, is getting along.
Yeah.
You know, I
Yeah.
mean,
That's why they have to train us at such extensive training. Tim, would you take the next one?
9. Citizenship on Adentia.
Nope.
After
Nope. One more. Go back up one more.
Oh, as ascended mortals, you will enjoy your sojourn on the progress worlds of Adentia, but you will not experience that personal thrill of satisfaction which characterizes your initial contact with the universe affairs on the system headquarters of your farewell touch with these realities on the finer worlds of the universe capital.
Alright. Mildy, would you take the next one?
Yes. I took a break here.
Not number 9.
We heard you, Millie.
Yeah, we heard you.
We know all about it.
Citizenship on Adentia, Millie. Number 9.
Okay, citizenship on Adentia. After graduation from world number 70, ascending mortals take up residence on Adentia. Ascenders now for the first time attend the, quote, assemblies of paradise, unquote, and hear the story of their far-flung career as it is depicted by the faithful of days, the first of the Supreme Trinity origin personalities they have met.
And this is after you become a citizen of Adentia, right? And this is what this is about. Here we have ascenders and a faithful of days, and the faithful of days tells the stories. All right.
this entire sojourn on the Constellation training worlds, culminating in Adentia citizenship, is a period of true and heavenly bliss for the Morancha progressors. Throughout your sojourn on the system worlds, you were evolving from a near animal to a Morancha creature. You were more material than spiritual. On the Salvington spheres, you will be evolving from a Morancha being to the status of a true spirit. You will be more spiritual than material. But on Identia, ascenders are midway between their former and their future estates, midway in their passage from evolutionary animal to ascending spirit. During your whole stay on Identia and its worlds, you are as the angels. You are constantly progressing, but all the while maintaining a general and typical Morancha status.
And this makes sense. Why? Because what's the next stop after the Constellation headquarters? Southington.
Hey, your cat. Hey, Roger, I had a question.
Yeah.
What does the word spiritual mean? Is it like God, or can you translate it as a spirit?
No, it's not like God. It's closer to God, but it's not like God. A spiritual being is more along the line in line with the Son of God. Okay? Because the spiritual circuit comes from the Son of God. And all spiritual beings are under the purview of the Son of God.
The Eternal Son?
The Eternal Son. That's right. That's right. So you can think of your progression through space to paradise. It is mortal, Morancha, spiritual, but there's many phases to the spiritual, right? First, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth stage spirits. And then finally, a paradise citizen and finaliter, right? So that's your stages. When you become a finaliter, that's when you stand before God the Father and you actually can see the face of God, right?
So the word spiritual would translate as it has something to do with the Eternal Son and His circuits, His presences?
Right. It is. It is. That's the best way to explain it. It's before becoming a finaliter. That's what it is. The spiritual.
I couldn't hear you that last one, Roger. What was it?
It's before becoming a finaliter. That's what you can think of it as. A finaliter is someone who has done the whole progress up to God the Father. Okay.
When it talks about ascenders being midway between their former and future estates, are we like midwayers?
No, not in the sense, Millie, because we're either Morancha or spiritual. We don't ever really become midwayer, because a midwayer is more between the physical and the Morancha. Okay, so if you think of the midwayer, that would be a level between a total physical person and a Morancha being. All right, so the midwayer would be the difference between a human and a Morancha being, somewhere between that.
But not a Morancha spirit.
But not a Morancha spirit, right?
And I had a question for you, Roger.
Sure.
When you say that God is spirit, and then somebody says back to you, well, what is spirit? Can you refer to it as the adjuster, which is within you, which is a fragment, but then they're asking you, well, if God is spirit, what is spirit? How would you respond?
Well, actually, God is more than spirit. Okay, and I'm going to confuse you even more. But oops, just dropped my.
That one hurt.
Yeah.
Sorry.
God is above spirit. God is the source of spirit through the Son. So really, God, in essence, is not spirit. He is above spirit. He is I am. And that's a whole different discussion. But for our concept, He's the closest thing to spirit. Okay? For us to conceive of. So, but when it comes right down to it, God is not only spirit, He is all things. Does that make sense?
I mean, that he could even create the power directors. I mean, this is...
Yeah, we're talking about all forms of reality.
Yeah,
God is.
Everything.
If you say all things and if they say back, well, then He's a rock, then He's a tree, which is pantheism.
No, it's not pantheon. Yeah, that's not what we're talking about. We're not saying that God is in the rocks and the trees and everything. He created everything. You know, having all kinds of troubles today. All started with Sunday. I guess I added something.
When you say He is all reality, He is more than our reality.
He is more than our reality. He is all reality.
Because there are over 7,000 other planets.
That's right. Yeah. And not only that, Millie, he is all types of reality. Not only human, Morancha, spirit, finaliters.
We can't describe God.
That's right.
We
He's the
cannot
ultimate.
come
That's
up
why.
with a description.
Yeah, that's why they always come back to God the Father is I am. There is nothing else to compare him to.
But we can't experience God, and we can get a glimpse of his personality.
Yeah, we can through the adjuster. We only can do that through the adjuster. Right?
And that would be Michael and Nebadon.
And through Michael, that's right. Yeah, through his sons. Okay, let's keep going. 9-3. Who's that?
It's Constellation. That's you, Roger.
Is that me?
Did I just read?
Did you just read? Hang on, let me pick
Yes.
up. Let me pick up this keyboard if it's still in one piece down here. Okay. I'm having all sorts of issues tonight. Okay. This constellation sojourn of an ascending mortal is the most uniform and stabilized epoch in the entire career of Morancha progression. This experience constitutes the pre-spirit socialization training of the ascenders. It is analogous to the pre-finalital spiritual experience of Havona and to the pre-absonite training on Paradise. So it tells us this constellation experience is just like when we are at a level that we're ready to step in from Havona to Paradise. Okay? So that's the only thing they compare it to. Okay? Tim, would you take the next one?
Ascending mortals on Edentia are chiefly occupied with the assignments on the 70 progressive unification worlds. They also serve in varied capacities on Edentia itself, mainly in conjunction with the Constellation program, concerned with group, racial, national, and planetary welfare. The Most Highs are not so much engaged in fostering individual advancement on the inhabited worlds. They rule the kingdoms of men rather than in the hearts of individuals.
So we think of the Most Highs as more as administrators or beings that help keep us on track, right? Than in the hearts of men like the Adjuster, right? All right. Millie, you have the privilege of the last paragraph.
Yes. Am I on?
Yep.
Okay. And on the day when you are prepared to leave Edentia for the Salvington career, you will pause and look back on one of the most beautiful and most refreshing of all your epochs of training this side of Paradise. But the glory of it all augments as you ascend inward and achieve increased capacity for enlarged appreciation of divine meaning and spiritual values. Whoa. Sponsored by Melchizedek.
Melchizedek. Okay, that ends paper 43, right? Next time we'll take up Celestial Artisans, 44. Okay, let's have a little prayer and we'll quit for tonight. I think I'll say the closing prayer tonight. Father, thank you for such a wonderful opportunity to study this beautiful revelation. We pray that you'll bless each and every one of us, that we might remember some of this and share it with others. And we pray that you'll prepare our hearts and our minds for that which is to come ourselves in our own lives. We thank you and we give you the praise for these friends, brothers and sisters that we come together with each week and study and pray and laugh and joke and learn each and every week. And we thank you for our many blessings as the days go by. We say this in the name of your Son, Michael, Jesus of Nazareth. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you for joining us at home. Please come see us again. Stop the